I will do my last call to order. The Minturn Town Council meeting, April 15th, 2026. And with that, we'll do roll call.
Kate here.
Ben here.
Ryan here.
Dusty here.
Eric here.
And Earl is here.
Tom's there.
I'm serious.
Tom's there.
And Tom is here. Pledge allegiance to the flag
The United States of America. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
With that, I will hand the gavel over to, he's not quite there yet, but here it is.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Face the camera. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Eric Godhelp,
I, Eric Godhelp,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado,
and the ordinances of the town of Minturn,
and the ordinances of the town of Minturn,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of town mayor on which I'm about to enter.
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of town mayor, of which I'm about to enter.
You're set?
Thank you, sir.
And the next one is all three of Vince and Lynn. Which one of those?
We still had one opening, I think. Oh, no, wait, Lynn.
I agree.
Yeah, Lynn, yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay. It's not
Weird. Are you doing it? Yeah. So all three of us at the same time.
You guys.
More binding else and larger groups. It's fine.
Alright, so I state your name.
It's my.
Oh, yeah, raise your rating, sorry. I state your name.
I'm Spence Stubauer.
Ben Viger.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States,
Do solemnly swear that I support the laws and the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado,
The Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado.
and the ordinances of the town of Minturn,
and the ordinances of the town of Minturn,
and that I will faithfully perform all duties of the office of town council
and that I will faithfully perform all duties of the office of town council
upon which I'm about to enter.
on
which I am about to enter.
Yeah.
Ready?
Don't throw the single away.
Everything you do.
Good luck.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I try to use it.
Should we all move down one?
Yeah.
I'll make it up here, sorry.
No, I don't.
I moved in.
Because, okay.
There.
You can move up if you.
Where's Gusty?
He's right here.
He's right there.
I ran out the door.
Gusty's here, right?
He's right here.
He's right there.
Talk about confusion. That's yours.
That's mine. I'll share if you need it. See this? Aren't we?
Okay.
And then
It's the closest I've
should
been.
I take a
Once.
Pro tem? Yes. All right. First order of business, we will take a new roll call of the City Town Council.
Kate's still here.
Lynn's still here.
Spen's here.
Gusty's here.
Tom's here.
Tom's here and Eric is here as well. First order of business, I would like to confirm the Mayor Pro Tem. My choice would be Gusty Kanakis. And if council is in approval, would love to hear a formal motion and I guess all in favor.
I move to elect Gusty as Mayor Pro Tem.
Second.
Excellent. We got a motion by Lynn, second by Kate. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I'm honored to, Eric. Thank you much.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Thanks. And with all the name tags tonight.
And then next on the order of business is to give direction to staff to solicit town council member applicants.
Just kind of as a heads up, I set this to be May 6th is when we'll decide. We've got a 5th week in April, so that'll give us about 14 days to actually solicit people. And I think that's enough time. However, on the 6th, I might come and say, we didn't get anybody. It's kind of a short leash intentionally because people will move faster. But if they don't move fast enough, we can always move it to the 20th.
Sounds like a plan.
Perfect. All right, with that, we'll move on to approval of consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Kate, second by Lynn, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, consent agenda is set. And any changes to the regular agenda or? That will take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Gusty, second by Kate, all in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Any conflicts of interest for any items on the agenda for anybody on council? Seeing none, we'll move on to public comment. This time, any citizens are invited to comment on any item on the consent agenda or not on the regular agenda. That is subject to public hearing. I'll open that up to public comment now. Anybody online?
No one with their hand raised online, Eric.
Perfect. And approaching the table here, so we will close public comment and move on to council and committee reports.
Sometimes there's advantages to being on the, and I have no committee reports, but I think we would be remiss not to publicly thank Earl and Brian for everything they've done for the town of Minturn. And for this council, it's been a joy working with them. There's been some real ups and downs, but through it all, I think everybody's goal is to make Minturn better, and they certainly did that.
And I echo all of that. And would also and want to add my personal thanks to both Earl and Brian. And I know they really, really cared about the town of Minturn and worked very hard to work in Minturn's best interests. With respect to committees, I'm finding that my participation in the Eagle River Fire District Protection District Board to be a lot more time consuming than I anticipated. And I am reluctantly would like to submit my resignation from the Minturn Fitness Center Board. Which means we need to appoint a new member from the council to be on that board.
I can interject real quick. We're going to do committee assignments on the 6th also. So that'll be one of them that we can administer then. We won't need to worry about it before then. There won't be a meeting before May 6th.
On May 6th, okay.
Right.
I am going to be out of town on May 6th.
Oh, good. We'll assign you to a bunch of, no.
Have that same worry.
Really don't work.
No, we'll definitely keep that in mind though.
Okay.
And as a side note, everybody that, you might think about the committees that you would like to be on or are on and don't want or want to continue or whatever. I will note that Gusty was appointed as the board president for the Minturn Fitness Center just the other day. So we got him for a little bit.
2 more years.
I actually did see it go to a core transit meeting. I'm gonna step up for all on board. And their route just changed from the winter to the summer, and Minturn stayed the same, which is increased from last summer. So there's, even though it's the same schedule, they are increasing their route, and they're seeing ridership changes and increasing that as well. So the more we can ride it, the more they'll continue to push more routes towards Minturn.
Go guys.
I'd also like to echo Kate and Lynn and thank Earl and Brian for their service. I mean, they've been real valuable to our team here. And the only other thing I have is we did have a fitness center meeting yesterday. I'll make it kind of short, but it's always good news when revenues are up. But annual membership is up and personal training is way up. It's been up $25,000 for the past year. And we did approve the 26-27 budget that kind of starts, I think, next month on the budget cycle. So we're all set for another year.
Tom, anything?
Nope. Dusty pretty much covered my piece from the manager standpoint, not a council member standpoint.
Sounds good. Thank you. And yeah, definitely want to echo everybody else's sentiment. Huge thanks to Earl and Brian as well. And Earl's been an inspiration to me and somebody I've obviously looked up to over the years, and hopefully I do a okay job filling his shoes the best I can. So looking forward to the next 2 years here and hopefully more. And with that, we'll move on to staff reports.
First thing is I just want to highlight the amount of time and energy that Jay has put into the financing component for the water treatment plant. I think he spent almost every day last week doing that and still did payroll and accounts payable. But a lot of time went into the drafting the ordinance, a lot of correspondence back and forth. And Jay really was the point person on staff to kind of make that financing happen. And I don't know what I would have done without you on that one. So I really appreciate that. I did get a grant application for the CPW shooting range grant submitted last Friday. I talked briefly with Councilor Feiger before the meeting. It's kind of conceptual, and I tried to include a lot of things there. But I think before we would proceed with such a thing, obviously there's the permitting side with Forest Service, but I think we would need to come back, talk with council and the community about maybe how we do some of those things and what we'd feel comfortable with as far as certain improvements. And so I definitely will return to make sure there's adjustments made that work for us.
And I want to say that I at least really appreciate that we are applying for that grant. But I do think we need to be very, very careful, but not encouraging greater use of the range and a paved road. I mean, if we were, even if we didn't fully commit to that, but we're stuck somehow doing that because of the terms of the grant, I could see usage of the shooting range increased by 10-fold. Same with we put in a nice parking lot. So I'm thinking we have to be super nuanced and careful how we do this.
That's understood. And as part of that grant application, that there was almost $100,000. Me and Lynn attended a meeting in Cordillera several weeks ago, and Cordillera has spent quite a bit of money on a wildfire detection system that's deployable in almost any place. It's a little pricey, but it's really interesting and can kind of give you a lot faster response time and awareness of what's going on out there. And that was a component of this application. I think even outside of this, if there's other opportunities for grant funding for us to deploy wildfire detection in areas around the town, I think we will start looking at that for sure.
Do we, on that note, Rob, do we have like a valley-wide perspective on, I know like Vail tried the Pano AI cameras at one point, like Summit County has a handful of them and they all kind of work together so that if there's something happening, whatever, then everybody gets to know.
And Lynn, the system at Cordillera it is tied in with Eagle River Fire Protection District from our understanding of that meeting, correct?
Yes.
However, there's not necessarily a coalescence around one type of system at this point. It seems a little early, but that has been a concern of let's try to make sure that whatever everybody decides to do, it all comes together.
And I would think just having cameras in that area could be useful for all sorts of reasons. And if the users knew there were cameras in the area, I think that might inhibit some of the illegal behavior that occurs out there.
And just on a side note too, we got some feedback from IT about new camera system for Town Hall and Public Works. And as part of that, we're looking at, because we do have internet at Public Works and we do have power, and that is our property, about putting a camera system over there with a plate reader that could keep track of the vehicles that are coming and going down that Forest Service road, so that if something occurs, even before we move further on permitting of managing the range, we know who is coming and going. Because I know we've had past issues with explosives and things that should not be used out there. So we're working on that. Anything else on that? I did submit this morning. I came to council for approval. We submitted a pre-application for the Forest Legacy Program for the Highlands. We've had some discussions. Lynn Teach has just kind of been participating as a citizen member. We've had some discussions with a lot of different people. We may not be the best applicant or the best project for that particular program, but that program would pay for 75% of an appraisal. And so we're moving forward with the application to get a conservation type appraisal to kind of see where our value would be, because we've been having conversations with other potential rec conservation partners if the town chooses to pursue that option in the future.
So this a little sideways to it, but related. So the recreation plan that was being developed by the students.
Right.
Apparently that doesn't apply to the Highlands, but applies to just the rest of Minturn. Is that?
The Highlands wasn't specifically brought up during the workshops, and I apologize for that, but we're working with the students right now, and I've been reaching out to some residents that I know would like the town to explore rec and conservation there, and we are going to work to get that included as an action item in their plan.
Okay, because I know there was a movement afoot to get people to email their support for including.
Yeah, I was reaching out to people yesterday saying, hey, if we could get some feedback for this, please provide it. And if there's anybody here that would like to provide feedback to that point, I'd appreciate it. Mike Martinez and I, we attended a site meeting at 1040 Main Street with Excel, Mears Group, CDOT, and Phoenix, the contractor for the sidewalk project. It looks like we're still on track for the first week of May. I'll let you know if something changes. One other last thing, we've received 2 mobile modular business license applications for the pilot program. We put out public notice signs, but no license has been issued at this point. There's still quite a bit of things to work through with one of those applicants. And again, we'll take public feedback. We'll address any concerns, but we have not issued any licenses yet. We've got it. There.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you.
Excellent. We'll move on to special presentations. We have a update from the Vail Valley Foundation. Peggy Wolf is here to join.
Wow.
From Mountain Games.
Hi, everybody. Peggy Wolf. I'm with the Vail Valley Foundation. First and foremost, thank you to the town of Minturn for not only the financial funding that you provide for us, but also just for being a great host. Minturn is one of our favorite spots for the GoPro Mountain Games. As you know, it's the only outlier town that we work with. So really appreciate you guys helping us out and playing host for our event. As you know, we do our disc golf out at Malloy Park. So we do 3 rounds of golf out there. And then, of course, we run our dual slalom and jump jam at the Minturn Bike Park. So Minturn has got a special place in our hearts. So thank you for that. We are in year 24 this year. This is our 24th rendition of the Mountain Games. So we're excited about that. And so, yeah, I think that got a few new things. One, we've got a brand new kids bike or kids running event. It's called the Mini Dash. It's kind of mirrors after our kids bike race. It's for kids 6 to 11. And so that will take us to 37 competitions during the weekend. So we're excited about that new addition. We are bringing speed climbing back. If anyone was there last year, speed climbing was probably our #1 spectator sport last year. The 50-foot wall that was over at Golden Peak, world-class athletes, Olympians climbing up in 5 seconds. It was unbelievable. So the other big news for this year is water. No surprise. We are taking a really active stance on conservation, water conservation, partnering with a lot of local groups just to really push that message out. As a result of the drought that we're in, our kayak rafting and stand-up paddleboard events are all affected. We do have, 9 contingency plans, but our contingency plans now need contingencies, and then those need contingencies. So we're really holding out hope that we can run some of those whitewater events, but certainly Mother Nature is not helping us at all. So we will make an announcement May 1st on what we will do with that for both the whitewater events as well as our fishing events. So definitely this water in the current state we're in is definitely impacting us. But even if we lose a couple of those races, we have plenty more for people to do. Last but not least, we do have our concerts. So we do have 2 music stages for free music during the day. And then we do have 3 ticketed shows at the Ford Amphitheater on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So the dates of the event are June 4th through the 7th, and we certainly hope you guys can come out and check it out. But other than that, I'll open it up for questions, but really want to thank you guys for your support.
Thank you.
No questions? Dusty, do you want to get in the Peppy face-off, the hill climb there? Peppy's?
Sure.
That's part of the Mayor Pro Tem. You didn't read the fine print there.
I'd probably fall.
Exactly. So we'll thank you guys very much and have a great rest of the night.
Thanks, Peggy. My son signed up for the kids bike race, so
Oh, nice.
we'll be there.
That's awesome.
All right, moving on to business items. We have first up ordinance number 2, series 2026, a second reading. We had Ron. No.
Do you want to provide an introduction, or where do you think we should start?
You go ahead and start and we'll go from there.
Well, a lot of work has occurred. We have, I think Troy might be a little bit behind because he had another meeting at the end until 6. But we've made some progress, and we do have Tom Pelt. He's our bond counsel. We've made some progress on the work with Alpine Bank, and I think we feel like we're pretty much ready to move forward. But I think I would like to start with council. Are there certain questions that you have about what's here before you today, or concerns you want to raise?
Opening up.
It's just an awful lot of money. And I don't think there's anything we can do about it, unfortunately. I know it's taken us a very long time to get to this point, but I think given the size of the debt obligation we're undertaking, it was important for us to have exhausted every alternative and avenue. But we are here now, and this does appear to be the best alternative for moving forward.
I agree with that. If we put this off any longer, it's just going to cost us more money. I mean, every year it's going to go up. We never know what interest rates are going to do. You're just kind of a guessing game. So, we're committed, and we really need to move forward and get this water plant constructed.
Do you want to provide information about how we are doing the rate increase?
Yeah, we'll go through a couple of things. First off, Lynn, I completely agree with you. This is the largest thing Minturn has ever done, bar none. The last big thing that we did was the water tank in this building. You want to know the truth? This was about a $2 million, and so was the water tank. So we have been able to save about 20% roughly that we'll be able to spend along the way to bring down some of that cost. But it's not, hopefully within the next 20 years, we'll be able to come up with a better option of how to actually just cash this down. What we're looking at is for the rates, we're looking at going up at about $50. And I've got the number here. I can find it. It goes up about 50. They'll go up to about $57 total. We're going to go up about $40 right now. And the reason it's not going to 80 like we talked about is because a couple of things. One of them is we've been able to move the cost, the first debt payment to December instead of May of next month. We also are paying down one of our older bonds that's about $125,000 that we'll be paying off. And then the other thing that'll happen is that the debt schedule is based on us taking all of the money right now because we don't know what we're going to draw and how fast and when we're going to draw. So each year I will look back at what we've collected. Did we spend all of that money? Do we have anything in reserve that we collected as debt service fees? And if we do, then I'll subtract that. I'll take the amount that's due that year and divide it by the number of users. And that's how we get our debt fees. Each year, and I want to make this very clear, each year we will be doing that. And that makes it so that we're responsible to the citizens for only the costs that we're actually at. We're not going to make an extra pocket here and have money in it or anything like that. But that's basically what we're looking at doing for June 1st is what I'm looking at the debt going up. It'll start at going up to $57. Excuse me, I wasn't.
Wait, going up to 57?
It's going up
Or
to-
up by 57.
It's going up to. We currently have about $17 and we're going up about $40, excuse me.
Is that based on 750 SFEs? Because I thought some of those SFEs aren't fully active.
We're doing a couple of things with that. The short answer is yes. The long answer is it's actually based on about 690, 700 SFEs. The other thing that we're doing is when we were being administered by Eagle River Water, you can still get it, a construction shutoff. And what that meant is that at the town you were paying $50. At the Eagle River you were paying the full SFE for that. You just didn't get any use based on it. What we're looking at doing is on June 1st, we don't have to change the code to do it. We just haven't been doing it because they were doing it, and to do it twice was going to be monumental for everybody. We do have about 50, a total of about 50, and that includes some at Minturn North. That includes a couple of older ones, things like that. Some people have actually torn down a house and not stopped paying it so that they can retain that, because a new water tap can run somewhere in the neighborhood of about $75,000 to $100,000. So that's basically what we're looking at doing is we will take those from $50. They will then begin paying the base rate plus the debt service rate. So they'll go up to, 175 or whatever it comes out to. If they want to continue paying that, they can. If they want to abandon those, they can do that as well. I've had one just the other day that said, I don't want two in this place anymore. I want one.
I would think a number of those water taps would be abandoned.
And that's fine. That would open up them for use elsewhere.
Are we gonna communicate that like in the next month's bill and
So
maybe put, I don't know, and if we send out the door hangers before then, have it in the door hanger. I don't know what month the
I'm-
door hangers go out, but.
I mean, everybody knows my sense of humor. I don't think it's funny to scare people like that. I am going to we are putting this in the door hangers that we're going to be putting door to door. I will caution everybody and everybody in the audience, this is going to be a very large door hanger packet. So every piece of it's one of those things that I keep saying, oh, every word is important. Okay. Everything in that is going to have a lot of good information that's not just seasonal. It will tell that how our water rates are going up, how it's being adjusted, things you can do to save water. We're also looking at doing just various things like that. I'm going to put it in the door hangers. It's going to go in the newsletter. It's going to be on the bottom of your monthly invoices from the billing company. It's going to be on the table out here. And of course, anybody that wants to call and ask me, I'm there.
And I just want to acknowledge and let the public know that worst case scenario, if we didn't have any money to pay down the loan, and if we withdrew the whole amount by 2008, apparently the annual debt service for this treatment plant is going to be $797,000 a year, or about $1,200 per SFE, or about $100 a month per SFE. So that's still out there, but we're all doing the best we can to lower that number, and we should all be thankful for everything that Jay's doing in particular in that regard.
Thank you.
But it's not a given that it's going to be not go up to that amount.
Well, that's a good time for me to thank you for saying that, but this is a good time for me to jump in again. Every year, I'm going to be making sure that we're doing the right amount. And what that will mean, and I'll be very honest with you, is that I can see it doing an upward trend because we're going to be drawing each month a little bit more money to build this plant. We have a 2-year draw cycle that we can use, and then it becomes more of a flat line. But we'll still be looking at it. If we have a windfall, if we have a large housing development come in, whatever that's going to have more users on the system, that will affect the rates.
Or if we're able to
Right.
get rid of the Highlands, that's like kind of a wild card in the puzzle.
Right. And the Highlands will make a big difference, but so will 200 houses. I mean, if you've got 200 of your closer friends sitting next to you, everybody gets to pay a little bit less in that run.
I think the things that we have that are entitled, we've looked at some of those numbers even just over the next 6 to 12 months, and it's almost $1 million in some
Right.
respects.
Right.
So there's a lot that we're doing on that side
Right.
of it, but there's also other things we can do as far as maybe some regulatory changes or some specific redevelopment that could help deliver some solutions for that. And then, as you know, the staff approach for the last few months on the Highlands has been a all of the above strategy.
And thanks for doing that.
And the water rates will be in all of the above. I mean, and honestly, I've had people call and I have no problem. I'm the youngest of 4. By the time they got to me, they were yelling anyway. If anybody has a question, please call, email me, stop me on the street, preferably not with your car, but you know what I mean. I'm more than happy to go through this. You've seen what I do in the budget. Some of it is text, some of it is tables, some of it is pictures. We all look at things differently, and I try to explain it as easily and as well as I can. not succinctly.
It's okay.
Does anybody have any questions?
I have one item to add in regards to the comment about the amount. Just to put it in the record, this is also caused by not adhering strictly to a coherent capital projects plan. We have a variety of other things coming up that are going to be very expensive, that are hard decisions. And this particular amount in this situation is because decision was indecision. So folks just need to understand this is something we can avoid in the future.
I think to Councilor Priest's point, I mean, we're trying to do that with some of the other projects. And as you may have saw the manager's report, we know we have a water line replacement on the west side of the 100 block. And, you know, I sent out some information to our grant writer today. So I think we're going to try to make steps to get things lined up before so that we can take better advantage of grant opportunities and other things to help reduce these costs. So I appreciate that.
And I appreciate your work. Thank you.
All right, no further questions. It's an ordinance, so I will open it for public comment. Any public wish to speak or ask questions on ordinance number 2?
And then I don't think we have anybody online that's a member of the public, and Cindy can confirm otherwise.
Correct.
Alrighty, seeing none, we'll close public comment. That and items, or we'll take a motion.
I move to approve ordinance number 2, series 26. An ordinance of the town of Minturn, Colorado, acting by and through the town of Minturn, water and sanitation activities enterprise, approving a loan evidenced by a note to finance water system capital improvements, approving the note form and loan repayment from the operation of the town's water system, and providing other details and approving documents relating to the loan.
I'll second that. Good job. That's
Yeah, a motion by Spence and a second by Gusty. We'll do roll call, please.
Lynn, I.
Spence, aye.
Dusty, aye.
Tom, I.
And Eric, aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Troy. And thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
And then we have Tom Peltz and Mike Sawyer online, but we didn't really have any questions. So, but I appreciate them being here.
Yes.
On to the next one.
We'll move on to ordinance number 2, series 2026. This one's first reading. Ordinance 4. Ordinance number 4, series 2026. Thank you.
Let me start.
Sure.
This is the one that I couldn't find my place. I apologize for that. Essentially what we're doing is this ordinance will increase the cost for the debt service only. We will be setting the debt service fee. And as we talked about in the budget process last year, we didn't adjust the water fees at all. And the reason is because we knew this was coming. We just weren't exactly sure where and when. This is the when and whatnot. The current debt service fee is $17.37 per single family equivalent. Some houses have multiple SFEs. The vast majority have one. Commercial businesses might have 1.5. I know of one that's got 20. And so they would be paying 20 times that basically. The water debt service fee will go from $17.37. It'll go up $45 and it'll go to $57.37. That is on top of the base rate and the trash or whatever else you might have, and use. And we're going to get to use here in a little bit as well, because we're going to have a discussion on that. So if everybody looks at their water bill right now, you can pretty much say, let's add $57, $60 to it. And that's what it's going to be. I know that it's expensive. There's two ways to do this. One of them is having to do it every day, which I've been doing for months now. And the other is having to pay it. Neither one of them are fun. And I empathize with every single person. And I've been in everyone's shoes of this one. This one is only raising the debt rate. It is not raising the $50 thing because that's already in. We just haven't been enforcing it because we were being administered by Eagle River. And to that note, as of January 1st, actually as of February 1st, we started actually charging late fees and things like that because I wanted to make sure everybody, we had an awful lot of people that didn't understand that we switched and broke away from Eagle River. So they weren't paying this bill, they were paying that, or not, and I wanted to make sure that everybody had a chance to get into the saddle and be able to ride this one. So now we're doing it, but we weren't, and now we're just going to be enforcing it differently.
So just to clarify, you're talking about debt service per SFE increasing by $40 a month,
45.
$45 a month.
Above what it is currently, and in addition to the other rates that we have to pay.
On top of everything
Right.
else.
In the ordinance, it says 17 to 57. That's only $40.
The ordinance says current debt service fee is $17.37, and $45 for a total of 57. Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah.
So it should be 63.
So that's what I was thinking.
Even 45 would be 63.
Excuse me. It's been late nights. Thank you.
I'm sorry. So is it a $40 increase or $45?
I've got 45 in there.
Okay,
So
so
the adjusted debt service is increased.
6237 would be the corrected adjusted debt service fees.
Excuse me for that.
the total would be $52. I mean, $62.37 is going to be the new
Correct.
debt service per SFE. Thank you.
Get that corrected. Any other questions?
Is there any thought to doing the 85 right away instead of hammering people every year and then going, oh, we're doing it again. Oh, we're doing it again. What's going to happen next year?
There is thought to that. And my rationale to not doing it that way is we're in a drawdown situation where we've got 2 years to draw on this loan. And each month, 1 month we might do 50, 1 month we might do 300,000. The idea is that at the end of the year, I will take the amount of money that has been collected and say we were $20,000 over on it. So I can now say, here's what the new debt what the new debt payment will be. I can take $20,000 out of that, and this is the new rate. Or I can add 20 if it were under, and we can kind of balance it that way. To do 80 right now, we could do that. However, we might not be at an $80 rate for 15 months, 14 months. You know what I mean?
And I understand that it's more optics, I guess, and door hangers are great, but the people that read things are in the room. So I like that messaging as well.
So the other thought on this one is that we will raise it now. We will review it again starting at my favorite time of the year, October 15th, which I didn't get to take my holiday off this year, which is April 15th, but I did, October 15th is when the council gets the budget. One of the ordinances that we do is the rate fee. We will look at it and we will adjust it for January 1st of 2027. And then we won't look at it again until 2028.
See, and that's something we can adjust at any time too, though, isn't it?
We could go back and
Yeah.
say, Jay miscalculated it.
If things aren't looking good, we could do an adjustment.
Right. It could be, and I'm not sure what if things aren't looking good, what that would look like.
Terrible.
But I will say that this will give us a couple of opportunities. A very, very, very bad example of what we're doing is when I first got here, we actually raised the rates 5 different times on the water in about a 12-month period. And the reason is because the person that was here when I took over, that wasn't here when I took over, didn't set the rates right. So we had to adjust them then. Then we had to adjust them again in May. We adjusted them again in August because there was another debt issue that came through. And then we did again in December, and then we did again in, I think, March of the next year. So, I mean, we've done a few of these. I don't like to do multiple ones a year. And honestly, we have not raised the rates in about 2 cycles. And the reason is because we We knew this was coming. We just weren't.
Technically, we didn't raise the rates, but we did the tier level.
Right.
When we started paying from zero, because we used to have like 6,000 gallon minimum free for the base rate. We went to zero base. So really there was a pretty good, when we looked at that percentage, it was like a 30% increase, really.
Actually, we used to have 30,000, and then we went down to 15, and then we went down to 10 and 6,
Yeah.
4 and 0.
Right. Yeah, quite a few.
Each one of those is a little whip mark that I got.
Like that. Like that.
But and this has come up, and I forget who said it earlier, but this is the cause for decades. 100 years, we were not standing on what the water rates should have been and saying, because it's tough when your neighbor comes to you and says, I can't do this. We've got that now. We do have people that come in like that, and it's like, let me see what we can do. Let's do a payment plan. Let's do, but we do need to, that's one of the things I really tried to do is stay on top of these rates, because I don't want to surprise people and knock them over the head with it. But at the same point, I don't want to not do something that we should have done a while back.
The other thing that'll help the rates is, we spoke on earlier that we're having some new users coming on board, with Minturn North, Belden Place. That's going to help because you're going to have more ratepayers to pay the debt. So
some of the most significant is not even just the ratepayer, but the fees that new users have to pay. The water rights in lieu fee. I mean, those are even just a few. New ones make a huge difference on cash on hand.
With the tap fee.
And a lot of the cash on hand that we're using today, the 275 million, has come from those fees.
Yeah, that's the 20% that we've got to put down on this. And we're not really putting money down on it. What we're going to do is there will be a certain amount, whether it's the beginning, the middle, or the end, that the town actually pays. The congressionally directed spending money that we got, that paid for the engineering for the plant. We will build the plant at round number $12 million, whatever it is. We'll have a couple $1 million that we can put down on that. So I'm hoping that our final number is right around 10 or less. Then if we get the Highlands, if we get I mean, trust me, I've always had the saying that you guys need to watch over the $10. I'll watch over the nickels and dimes, because if I watch over that, these are okay. If you watch the pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves.
You mentioned the congressional spending. We had 3 million. I know we can't use that other million for the same project. Is there anything that we're able to use that for that would work into what we're actually looking at down the road? Like, I'm just guessing maybe the water tank up at Medina's property, or
there could be replacement of water tank number 2. There could be, if we decide to federalize the project to replace the water line down there, it could be used there.
Okay.
And I think we may end up federalizing that project because we're going to get very serious about grant dollars for that, because we want to replace the water line. We've been talking to Eagle River Water Stand about replacing the sewer line. It's very old. We want to improve William Street. We want to put in stormwater. So we're going to try to look at every angle on the grant side. So that could be a great opportunity there. And we have plenty of time.
Yeah. Well, thanks for.
So we'll keep looking at that. But yeah, the system has other needs, and that's unfortunate. But this is the biggest need. But then there are other things that.
Well, at least we don't have to pay for that out of maybe the enterprise fund if we're replacing the water line down there.
Right.
It could be grant funded. So that's
right.
good.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when we made the WTP decision and back to ratepayers, I thought we had a discussion about certain households would be exempt based on socioeconomic issues.
Yeah, at some point we talked about the older community. Or
we can look at that. I think me and Jay, we sat down and talked about that several months ago. And if council has to provide direction to look into that, the only thing is just know we're very small. And so diversion from some users means more cost for others. But if that's something you want us to look at, we can look at it.
I'm wondering if maybe partnering with the community fund might be an avenue for dealing with hardship cases.
So,
And they're challenging.
so if I can, before I turn anybody's water off, that is, I mean, come on, that's the worst thing I can do to somebody. And we've had people that I'm looking at, not that I'm looking at right now, but we've had issues and situations where there's children in the house, things like that. The very first thing I do is turn them and say, here's some options. There's the, it's not the Summit Foundation, it's the, but the different avenues that people can get for community help. The community fund, the Salvation Army, the county's got programs, just various things like that. There are, and even the state has some programs. There are some things that people can get into. Yes, you have to qualify. Trust me, when you're ready to get your water turned off, there's a good chance you qualify. But Lynn, I really want to assure you, the very last thing I try to do is, I go over and we scotch tape a note to somebody's door and say, call me, you need to pay your water bill, before I, get over there and turn it off.
I think before we get to scotch taping notes and other related, I'm tracking what you're saying, Jay, but I would prefer to approach this from more of a policy and lead turn this, so we're not dealing with this situation. We have households on fixed incomes, preponderance of those are elderly. We need to make some decisions, as Lynn brought up, community fund, that we lead turn and deal with, and don't put these people in a situation where they're coming to you last minute. The comment of just shutting the water off, we just don't need to get there. If somebody very deliberately is just not paying the water bill, sure. But in this case, we knew going in when we made this decision, there were certain households in this town, this is not financially palatable. And our fiduciary duty is to figure this out.
The only thing, I guess, from a staff perspective, when we talked about this, is the concern from staff is not necessarily help people that need help. It's how do we do that? Because if it's based on age alone, we have to verify that. And there may be people in the household that, how do we determine? Is it based on the person that's paying the bill? Is it based on the average age of the people in the household? And just because somebody is over a certain age does not mean that they're under their income, they would qualify. So that gets challenging. If we look at a policy based on income, then we get into a situation where staff have to verify the income of the individual. And we're talking about water rates that are on households. So are we verifying the income of every single person in that household to determine their eligibility? So we can look at this. It's just when we started looking at it, we're like, how do we administer a program like this without requiring the tax returns or verification of age of every single person in the household? Like, how are people going to demonstrate need? And how do we verify that that is true? So that's what gets challenging from a staff end.
I agree on all points. It notwithstanding, obviously, I would think collectively we can get to a point. What is that? You're denoting all the possible aspects of it. I think at the bottom line is, obviously we're looking at starting with fixed income houses. As you denote, does that mean there's other people that are living in the house that are more than capable to contribute? All things we need to look at. I just don't want to put people in a bind where, again, we knew this is going to happen. We know there are households here. I know that's not the answer to the equation. We just don't need to get to a point where they're unable to pay their water bill, or we're in a situation where we're making those decisions. So I by no means have the answer tonight to what that is. I'll sit there and chew on it, but we certainly need to do our best to figure out something, because obviously this isn't the first iteration of increase to our water bill.
Unfortunately, it was brought up at one of our meetings that we had. We had a pretty well-attended meeting. I think Lynn was here for that the citizens or the seniors that just like on the fixed income or whatever, their rates wouldn't go up. And I think I mentioned that to Rob one time. It was sad. And I just know how hard it is to figure out who qualifies and who doesn't. That's a challenge.
I will point out, and I don't want to give a number out, but it's less than a handful, maybe 10 people a year. And I'm just throwing that number out of all of our users. I come up with maybe 10, and all of them I've been able to find something to work for, that works for them. You know, the last thing I want to do, like I said, is turn the water off, but the first thing I want to do is not get them $5,000 in debt. I want them, you know, I want, and I hate to use the term bandwidth, but to go through, like Rob said, and be able to try to figure out who's on first and what's on second. It's much easier to do it as a one-on-one, a one-off where somebody comes up and I see it. Trust me, I'm going through, you guys will see the money and that kind of stuff come in. I'm looking at every single account every month. And I try to flow through those, see who's on the bubble. Is it something I can help with?
Well,
Um,
go ahead, Lynn.
Does Eagle River Water and Sand have any program for their water users that have?
They didn't when I was working with them. They had some ideas, and but they were using ideas that I came up with, and I was using theirs ideas and things like that. And this is the whole thing. And one of the things, and we'll use Excel because nobody knows who Excel is. But they charge a little bit of everybody's bill and put it into a pocket, and they do that. Well, that's going to mean that we raise everybody's water rate a little bit so that we can make that pocket.
There's a county program for household water assistance. I say that what we do is me and Jay will start looking at this, and we'll come back to you at the May 6th meeting. Because one of the things that would be nice and we'll reach out to the county on this program, because one of the things that we could maybe do, because maybe we're not talking about a significant number of users, is there may be the potential that we could participate in an existing program and we could allocate general revenue dollars and not enterprise dollars to help support people so that it doesn't have a negative impact on other ratepayers. And we can also look at what is out there for state and federal assistance for these type of programs, and then come back and kind of give you some options. Because there's probably some architecture out here that we can utilize. And maybe it's just participating in a county program and we just bring some funds and say, hey, these are for customers that meet eligibility and need assistance.
And it might be good to just formally maybe itemize the alternatives that are available, resources that are available in a printed sheet in case people do have issues.
Because I think you could even take a certain amount of general revenue dollars and put it into the enterprise for this type of thing because it is a public purpose, and not create an impact on existing users. I think we can figure that out.
One of the things I want to stay away from is the payday loan. I guess the way I would phrase it is and I'll be honest with you, let's say there's these 10 people that I've been dealing with, 7 of them are out of town. This is a second home for them and they spaced it. They just forgot. And they forgot. I can't get a hold of them, and I've, email, call, everything. I've got one lady who said, oh, no, I've got I'm living in a different house. Send me the bill here and I'll just take care of it. And I'm like, I can put you on a payment plan. No, just send it. Well, then I thought when I was talking to her, I said, well, can I do the same thing and give your address to Eagle River? And can I give it to the county because your taxes are due also? And she's like, oh my gosh, would you please do that? I mean, so it's not a need. It's an unknown. It's a knowledge issue. So
all 10 of those people surely.
Probably 70% of it is though. They're
So
vast majority of my problems.
There were maybe only 3 families.
Right.
having
And those
true financial issues.
right. And those I deal with on a one-on-one. And I mean, and we'll get to this a little bit further as we go through the water use and stuff. I also am watching for high users. I know when we get to summer because Gusty washes his car more often. I mean, it's definitely one of those things that I can tell you who the people are, but I can't. But I know who they are. I know what the situations are. And it's, these are 600-700 of my closest friends. And I think of it that way.
Gone, Jay.
Well, I think about it that way.
Whoever your replacement is will not have this knowledge.
And this is something that my father told me one time. He said, I can teach somebody to do a bank statement. I can't teach them to care. And we were the ones parking in the back of the parking lot because the guests parked in the front. We were the ones vacuuming the halls because we were cheap. And this was a large hotel. I mean, you got in trouble and had to vacuum the halls. That was an all-day event. And you would stand out there, but it's definitely yes, we can set up these systems and they'll still fall through the cracks. I need to be able to see where the crack is and who's standing at the edge of it. And that's the way. So yes, we can do different plans, but we still need to be able to see who's there. And I know right now that if I saw that, Spencer, you're sitting in front of me, if you were having trouble, I would immediately talk to you and I would immediately talk to Rob and say, I think we can do this. I know that Spence was out of the country for 3 weeks. He's back now. I know what happened. We've got this fixed.
Oh, we do have some rate payers that's actually on a discounted rate. That's going to still stay, but that's on the base rate, and that's nothing to do with the debt.
Some seniors are on that.
Yes, just that just affects the base rate. That's not the
right
debt service. Okay.
And this is one of the issues that we talked about when we first did this debt fee, use fee, and flat fee base rate is if we fix one, do we fix them all? I mean, I still need to get $750,000 a year in debt service. If I give a discount to Kate, then Lynn's got to pay more. You know what I mean? And I apologize for using your names, but I don't like to just say the unknown, and you guys are sitting in front of me and I know that we don't have issues.
So can we give direction to just look at some options and come back with something to?
We'll have something on 6 for you.
You have questions?
Okay, but the rabbit hole that we're looking at is just increasing the $45.
That since it's an ordinance, I'm gonna open it to public comment. Anyone in the public have any questions or thoughts? Or anybody online?
I don't think we have any residents online.
All right.
Anybody else?
Seeing none, I will close public comment. And we'll take a motion for ordinance number 4.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 4, series 2026, an ordinance modifying, setting, and approving enterprise fund debt service rates for 2026 as adjusted by the 2026 water plant loan for the enterprise fund of the town of Minturn, with the change of the total amount of debt service $62.37.
I second.
All right, thank you. We got a motion by Gusty, second by Spence. Let's do roll call, please.
Hey,
Spence, aye.
Dusty, aye.
Tom, I.
Eric, aye.
I can say one more thing and I apologize. I really want to thank Earl and Gusty because those guys did a yeoman's job of making sure that our feet were held to the fire and that we got the best deal that we could. And I really feel that we got a good deal.
Okay.
And it would not be done without the community. That it takes a village.
And a special thanks for Jill.
Yeah, special thanks to Jill. I was just going to say that.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you all. Let's move on to resolution number 2026.
Okay, this is the resolution to select a bid for the construction of the water treatment plant. We've stayed on schedule and on track so far, so we were able to bring this along with the finalization of the financing. We went out to bid. We had a lot of people show up at the mandatory pre-bid meeting. We had Councilor Kanakis there and former Mayor Baidez there. We got 3 bids. JHL contractor submitted a low bid of $12.55 million, followed by Native Sun at $12.87 million and RN Civil at $13.67 million. Under the solicitation, the town's not required to award solely on lowest price. We can consider qualifications, experience, responsiveness, and overall best value. We did have our design contractor, HDR, review the bids. They also prepared the invitation for bids. They checked references and they recommended award to JHL as the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. The staff agree with that recommendation. JHL not only submitted the lowest bid, but also showed the strongest directly relevant water treatment plant experience. We did have them, like I said, HDR contracted references, and JHL was positive. The one thing that we do intend to confirm before finalizing a contract is the JHL's personnel availability, since some of proposed key staff are assigned in part to other active work. Native Sun submitted a competitive bid, but its comparable project experience appears less directly aligned. RN Civil appears experienced, but HDR identified the most significant qualification submittal deficiency in RN Civil's proposal, and RN Civil also had the highest bid. So that for that reason, the staff in HDR are sticking with a recommendation of JHL Constructors. And these numbers are very close to what our estimates were from Glacier Contracting, that all hovered around that $12 million number. So the good news is they are as what we expected, but they're not lower than what we expected, unfortunately.
What's the name of the organization that did the design work again?
HDR.
Is there any connection or relationship between them and JHL?
Not that I am aware of, but we could look into that if that was necessary.
I just wanted to make sure about that.
Okay.
They all have 3 letters.
Yeah.
I think their plumber's gonna be JPL.
Yeah.
If they are truly independent, it would seem that JHL is the way to go.
Yeah, their comp work looked good in the bid package.
I just think we should pass along to them that we're on a tight budget and we can't afford any change orders, that we really need to stick to what they propose, and we'll stand up to our end of the deal and they stand up to their end of the deal.
Yeah, and this is not a design build proposal, but yes, we're gonna have to be very diligent. There's another piece of this which we've talked about, which is we need a construction administration contract. I told you we were working through negotiations with HDR. The initial proposal was 1.1 million. We felt that that number was more than we are comfortable with. We have not heard back from HDR on a return proposal, but I think Councilor Kanakis spoke on this. If the return proposal doesn't satisfy some of the staff's concern, including concerns of the town engineer and the town attorney, we will bring HDR to council to talk to you directly about why they think that 1.1 million is the appropriate number for construction administration for a project of this size. The one thing that, and I guess in my limited experience in government, is the sooner we move, the better when it comes to construction. The longer that we wait or the longer things get delayed, there's just many complexities. And so I appreciate that we are running relatively on time. The weather seems compliant. As long as we can get through the contract negotiations with JHL and the town attorney and HDR, I hope that we can get moving and get some project meetings going very soon. I don't know, as far as, since we had Gusty and Earl serving kind of on our ad hoc council committee, if we have another member of council that would like to kind of stay involved and help participate as we kind of move through this project. If somebody has time, we could consider that for maybe an appointment at the next meeting. I know that Earl and Gusty's presence at some of these meetings has been very helpful for staff of providing concerns from a different perspective.
And my question is, because if they don't reduce the cost and come back to us, it would be nice to know, I'm assuming their fee is about 8% of the total.
Well, it's higher than that, right? Because it's
1.1 million and $12 million project.
That's 12.5.
Just like 1.2 million of that is.
It's about 9%.
9%. I'm wondering if there's a way we could find out if that's standard in the industry.
And Mike might have a comment on this because he was involved with the SILT project. I don't know.
What other alternatives there might be other than HDL if we feel their fee is more than we want to spend.
Yeah, so when we got the proposal back from HDR for contract administration and construction management, we were surprised by the number. When I went back and compared it to the amount paid by the town of Silt, which just inaugurated their newly constructed water treatment plant last week. They were at about 5.5% of the total project cost for construction admin and construction observance. It was a bigger project, and there are some economies of scale. But again, we found Rob has gone back and challenged the HDR to come back with a number that's more in the 6 to 7% range. There is a little bit of HDR specific special work that they're proposing to do, which we think is worthwhile, and it's around creating the operating system for the water plant so that it runs the way that we want it to. So that might add a little bit of cost, but again, we have been looking at ways to bring that number down, including things like potentially having one of the apartments at the town hall available for the construction observation team to use, as opposed to having to pay hotels and motels, which in Eagle County are quite expensive. So we're working to find the best option for the town. I have put some feelers out to other entities that may be willing to do at least the construction observation part of it. The construction observation portion of the budget submitted by HDR was $500,000. So anything we can do to whittle that number down is going to be savings in the town's pocket.
Do you talk to the inspection team for the silt project?
I have. They are employed by the engineering company that designed that project, which is different than what HDR is proposing. They're proposing to use a consultant out of Buena Vista. And the comment I got back from the people who did the work in silt was they've already got another project that their team is, the engineers on, and they'll be heading there next. So that's not an option, but I have looked into a couple of other possibilities.
Technically, we're not at 12.5 because 1.2, I think, of that is just buying the MEMCOR membranes.
You mean the cost of the construction?
Yeah, the
is
cost
lower.
of the construction is lower because we have the membrane costs on top of that, which we agreed last year, to go with MEMCOR. So
Yeah.
So really, that would even make the percentage even higher yet if you're not at 12.5 when you're at 11 something.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's say all the numbers stay the same, 12.5, 1.1. We have a bond at 11.4. We have the coverage there.
We planned for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have that extra 2 in the enterprise fund.
But HDR seems like they would have the greatest expertise, since and it should be cheaper for them to do it than any other inspection firm because they designed the thing. And it feels a little bit like backloading the expense to the town of Minturn, and is, I think, rather disturbing to me.
It is a lot to HDR. It's the 2.1 on design and then another 1.1 for construction admin. So.
And we did have quite a few change orders with HDR too.
$12.5 million.
Yeah, because we started out at like 1.5 and we got up to like 2.1. So
we'll do what we can there. I did, say to HDR, we appreciate there's no doubt the proposal was very thorough and the services they're providing are very extensive. But there's certain things such as the 5-day observation, having 2 to 3 engineers attend every meeting, those add a lot of cost because that's $300 to $500 per hour for several of HDR's engineers to be at these meetings. So I will follow up with Jared before the end of this week and say, hey, where are we at on this? And then we will come back to you on the 6th to provide some updates or have the proposal if there's been changes that we feel we're comfortable with.
Thank you.
All right. In that case, Should we take a motion for resolution number 20?
Move to approve resolution. You said no. Resolution number 20, series 2026, a resolution of the town council of the town of Minturn, Colorado, approving the award of a construction contract to JHL Constructors LLC for the Minturn Water Treatment Plant project and authorizing the town manager and town attorney to negotiate and execute the agreement and related contract documents.
I'll second that.
And I'll vote in favor of it, but contingent on the fact that they are truly independent of HDO.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Yeah, that's their direction.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And with that, we'll move on to ordinance number 3, series 2026, second reading for the chapter 18 municipal code.
We have Mr. Kevin Rindy, Permit Tech Code Enforcement, and we have our planning director, Scott Hunt, online.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got just a few things to say in your packet. I think starting on page 230 is a memo that just outlines the fact that staff brought the first reading of this ordinance before council on March 18th. And as you recall, this is an ordinance that is proposing changes to the town's building code. It is a direct result of the state's work with the creation and adoption of a state wildfire resiliency code that was adopted last summer. Kevin Rindy and I have been working, mostly Kevin over the last year, with a local code cohort, all of the fire marshals, Eric Lovegren from Eagle County, Stacy Todd, all of our local professionals in the fire and wildfire realm for the last 2 years to come up with a code that is regionally based, that's appropriate for our municipalities and Eagle County. And so we presented this in March, and then we have been working with the state since then to update the ordinance per state requirements or recommendations, working directly with the State Wildfire Resiliency Board. So we've made those changes. Those are outlined in the memo. And then Kevin and I attended the Wildfire Resiliency Code Board meeting on April 8th and got our plan approved by the state. I think the biggest conversation point was how cute Minturn was and how pleased they were with the fact that we were coordinating with the county and all of the other jurisdictions. So that went over really well. Kevin did a great job presenting to that board. But since I'm the one that crafted the ordinance and the memo, that's, I guess, why I'm presenting tonight. And we're happy to take any questions, but this is something that we either adopt the state's code or we adopted our own. So this is a track that we took over the last 2 years to, kind of be in unison with our neighboring jurisdictions to get this adopted. So happy to take any questions.
For all the work on it.
Yeah, it was a long time coming, and especially with structural hardening and looking at the landscaping requirements. So hopefully we're building a safer community in the long run. So people will probably be a little bit up in arms, but once everyone gets on board and figures everything out, it's really not that big of a change. A little bit of work on the front end from our part on plan review, and then a little bit of work on my end on the back end for inspection wise. But again, this is all new construction, so it shouldn't be that big of a task to do. But again, we're always available for the community to make sure that we could live in a safer community for all. So, and that's our goal and that's our objective. So I think that's where we're at.
Any other questions?
For the exemptions on repairs of less than 25% of siding and roofing or decking,
Correct.
is there any option? Is that a state mandated percentage?
That same verbiage came right out of the state code also.
And is that, so if you have to repair greater than 25% of your roof, you have to repair it with something that
you have to repair it
Or
with,
do you have to repair the entire roof?
you have to repair the entire roof. Everything has to go back to that new code.
So the same thing with siding.
Same thing with siding.
Okay.
Which a lot of contractors, like roofing and siding contractors, if once you start to get closer to like 10%, they're like, we're not doing that work. We'll just replace the roof. And usually insurers will say the whole roof.
I was just thinking more about wood siding and
Yeah.
ripping off your entire.
Right, and then that could be a major expense and, it's just like things we're gonna have to look at, and again, we'll have to catch this on a lot of this stuff on plan review.
But if there's nothing that we can do because of the state, then there's
Right.
not much we can do.
I mean, that was our choice, was go with the state code or have our own code to go, with the other jurisdictions in Eagle County, so all the builders wouldn't be so confused and, so they don't have to go from jurisdiction to jurisdiction to have different rules. So that was one of our, reasonings in this, code group, was to make sure that, if someone's doing work in gypsum and someone's doing work in bale, that we're kind of all the same, so we don't get confused. So, and especially when you go from municipality to municipality, you have different ordinances. So we just kind of want to be consistent throughout the county.
Any others? All right, I will open up to public comment. Anybody from the public have any questions or comments on the topic? Approach and name and address for the record, please.
Bert Harrington, 532 Taylor. Probably directed to Kevin, but didn't have a chance to read it yet. Thanks for sending it to me. So I assume the statewide one is gonna adhere to what we need in Minturn. Again, I haven't read through it yet. It ran out of time, but I did have a few questions, probably directed toward Kevin as well. About the timing of the restrictions and when they go into it, or is it, what are we doing now? We just considering it, or what would be an estimated timeline of when it would go into effect? Because at this point now, I have two permits out, which I assume wouldn't be affected by that. Right. I have submitted for one and I'm about to submit for another. So I'm just more concerned about what we have to do or my design professionals have to do. So maybe, is it basically if we start the process of design review with a project, is that consideration for? Right, we'll go. Not that I'm trying to duck. Right, we'll do rules. But I just need to know. This was supposed to be in effect last, July 1st of last year. But the state actually, per legislative, they came in and said it had to be in by, they approved it for July 1st of last year, and they gave the municipalities a year to get everything completed, before, July 1st of 2026. So on our second reading will be equivalent to with the state, and then we'll have 20 days, but we'll come back and we'll work with all the stuff you have out right now. We'll come back and look at everything and say if we need changes or not. Okay, so, but.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, Burke, great question. So Jay and Rob, certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but I think once the ordinance is passed on second reading, there's publication in the newspaper and it takes effect in 20 days. Is that correct?
I thought it was 7 days after publication.
7 days, 20, yep.
Yeah, 7 days takes, or publication takes a couple of days. So you're looking at 9 to 10 days.
Okay. And Burke, I would say that a design review application probably, if you submitted, that's different than a building permit. I think this is going to apply once you submit a building permit. So unless you're ready to submit a building permit before this goes into effect, I think that would probably be applicable to a building permit that's applied for after, let's say, 7 days or 9 days.
Okay, so I'll probably just need some clarity on that, maybe. Like,
Right.
what I'm saying is if I submit a building permit and in the interim it gets passed, is all my information not subject to the code because I've already paid my plan review fee and it's already in?
Right, we'll have to go back and look at this, where we're at in case by case and we'll just double check everything.
Yeah,
And we'll make sure.
that's because sometimes building permits can take
Right.
2 months going back and forth and something might happen in the interim and we already have the plans in. But it's
Right.
not about ducking anything, it's about.
I think that that's probably a legal determination, and we probably shouldn't make a particular commitment here one way or another without doing it. Making sure we're doing it.
Applied,
Right.
Burke, if you've already made application, we've taken your fee, it's in process, this would not apply to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
And that's
So-
building, but design review would not qualify for that.
I think that's correct. Yeah.
But again,
How'd you
maybe,
gone?
maybe you gotta figure it out.
Yeah, this is all new to everybody in the state, so these little nuances, we'll have to look at case by case and relook at everything, so. We'll do everything case by case basis, but we don't have that many out right now that could be changed.
And Mike, now that you're here, or you've been here all along, I assume this applies to Battle Mountain as well. Even though they were granted certain exceptions.
Yeah, this applies to the application of building permit, not for zoning approvals. I agree with Scott that if you're in the zoning process, this does not that does not exempt you from complying with the requirements at the time you go in to submit a building permit. And to your point, Lynn, Battle Mountain hasn't submitted for any building permits at this juncture.
I would just put out there, Burke, probably need to read it first. You never know. None of this may apply to what you're submitting and it's all for naught and has no impact. So probably need to verify that before we go around circles on this.
And this, would this apply to Malloy? Malloy hasn't submitted any permits yet.
The school district has not submitted any building permits, no. They don't even have a subdivision, nor do they have a site plan, so they're a ways away from getting building permits.
Burke, any other questions there?
No, just talk to Kevin about the timing, yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Burke.
Thanks, guys.
All right, any other questions from the public? Anybody online?
There is no one online.
Perfect. All right, I'll close public comment. I just bring back to council any last minute questions or thoughts, or we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 3, series 2026. Ordinance of the Town of Minturn amending chapter 18 of the Minturn Municipal Code to provide for adoption of the Town of Minturn Wildfire Resilience Code and approved by the state of Colorado.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Motion by Gusty, second by Lynn. We'll do roll call, please.
Kato,
Then I.
Spence, aye.
Gusty, aye.
Aye.
And Eric, aye. Motion passes. Now we will move on to discussion direction items. First one, discussion of the drought conditions, which segues nicely from our previous topic.
You start.
So, shocker, there's a drought. And I go back to what I said earlier, like my father once said, I can teach you how to do a bank statement, but I can't teach you how to care. What we're looking at is our code has built into it already a couple of neat features. One of them is we kind of already have the every, you water 3 times a week instead of, you don't do it every day. We've already got that in. We've already got somebody like me that's, are you using more each month than you should be? Somebody once told me in town that they said, I set this sprinkler up 20 years ago and it's literally set it and forget it. And every year I blow it out and every year I turn it on and it comes on in the middle of the night and that's what happens. And they didn't realize that they went from about 4,000 or 5,000 gallons a month to 28,000 gallons a month because the water but they had nice grass. Basically, that's already in our code. We heard a presentation from Eagle River that they're going to do 2 days a week of watering. We're at 3 days a week. One of the features in our code is that if we get to the point where we go, yeah, we need 2 days a week, or we need to shut it off, Rob can do that, and then you guys can make it permanent over the next at the next meeting by resolution. And then the other thing, so we've already got that built in. So basically what I want to kind of focus on tonight and see if you guys, again, I think more eyes looking at this, the better. I really, really want to make sure that everybody knows that in our code, it lays out some of the stuff that we're going to go through. And the section is 13-2-130 sub B sub 4. It tells you that you can only water 3 times a week. It tells you that there's no watering on Monday. Again, what this is going to come down to is it's going to come down to enforcing, because we haven't been in this boat for a while, no pun intended. So that's kind of what we're looking at. I do want to let everybody know a couple of things. One of them is, as you know, we get our water off of Cross Creek. Happens to be a little bit of a smaller river than the Eagle River. It's a tributary to it, not Eagle the other way around. That's kind of key. The other one is that we get a lot of our water out of wells. Those don't dry up seasonally like a river can. What I want to kind of talk about tonight is how we can inform citizens and how the citizens can take action on their own property of what they can do. Basically, yeah, we can find people, we can turn their water off and do all sorts of things. But if we don't have any water in the tank, it's day late and a dollar short. And so Rob and I were actually talking tonight, and he said, well, isn't this starting June 1st or whatever like that? I said, no, I want to start it now and go till October 31st. And October 31st is kind of a key date. Everything seems to freeze about that time. I've already had one irrigation user that's a large user, and he said, well, we've already turned the meter on. And I'm like, oh, you can put the meter in, but don't turn the water on. We're still going to freeze. And sure enough, it snowed for a day. Yesterday was one of the first storms I remember it snowing this year during the day. I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at. So basically what I want to talk about is some of the things that citizens can do that I don't think is always being done. First off, consider keeping your irrigation off. If it is, and I'm speaking to established gardening or yards, whatever you want to call it. The new ones, and I hate to say this, but the Minter North, those things are going to actually need a little bit more water, or a little bit more consistent water, because they're brand new. We are holding in escrow $150,000 ballpark, for people that have put escrow money down because they wanted to get their TCO so they can move into their homes, and then they'll put their yard in later. But some of that's going to take a little bit more time and water because you can't put grass down or you can't put flowers in and then not water them. The other thing that happens is that if you go out and you water with a garden bucket or something like that, this doesn't fall into that. If you turn your sprinkler on and walk away, it does. If you wash your car without a nozzle that shuts off, it affects you.
I use a nozzle.
I know.
What if you the hose with the nozzle?
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that.
I do that.
But Lynn, this is one of those that if I see that you're using a ton of water, I'm gonna call you. I will.
Do you watch that, Jay? Know who the high users are just to see if somebody maybe has a leak in their system and if it spikes up from say 4,000 to 20,000?
Yes, and I do watch that. I mean, I can't do it daily, but I do watch that. So a couple of the options. Keep your irrigation system off. If it's an established yard, the trees aren't going to die. Nothing, the grasses that will come back. I promise.
I think we need to communicate that.
I'm sorry.
I think we need to communicate that.
And this is
Going
going.
River's done a great job of that. It'll go
Right.
dormant. It's not going to die. And I
Right.
think if people aren't watering their lawns, that's like the biggest step one.
And one of the key things about this discussion this evening that we're having, and that includes all of the the loan ordinances and stuff. The reason we're doing it tonight is because tomorrow and Friday, we're putting together these door hangers. And so it's kind of timing is key. I really want people to stop using water now, not in June.
Yeah, I
And-
think, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I mean, I think we have to be a little more aggressive than just encouraging people to not water their lawn. Like, the RWSD took a very firm position and we could go back later and change it, but later there won't be water in the creek. It won't matter.
So
The call already went on. And that just doesn't happen in April. It happened in March. It doesn't happen in March. We're in really dire times. There's no contract water in Green Mountain. The Division 5 Commissioner Engineers are really, really worried about historic users and various other things. Anything we can do now to get in front of this, I think we have an obligation to the hydrology to do.
I agree. I drove by Green Mountain River the other day and I have never seen it that low.
Does Dylan ever come up any?
Dylan is coming up a little bit. But you will always be able to, this summer, you'll be able to walk out to what I call Sentinel Island.
I mean, they're projecting full this year will be 65 feet low.
Right.
Let's talk about the situation though, just real quick, because I have been in touch with Martin and Wood, who are our water engineers. And Tara did send me and you an email several hours ago. We may have some users that are starting irrigation. And so we're going to have some conversations with them and do outreach. But just for an update on the conditions since Eagle River Water Sanitation talked to us, and we got some information this week from Denver Water that the Colorado River Basin is at 35% of normal, which is the worst on record, and the South Platte River Basin is at 4% of normal, which is worst on record. One of the things just to know for us is that 30% of the water that we've been using typically comes from Cross Creek, and the rest comes from the wells. So in very dry years like 2002 and 2012, Cross Creek produced approximately 18,000 acre feet to 22,000 acre feet of annual stream flow. In 2026, which is likely to be an even drier year, Cross Creek produced 15,000 acre feet. So at this point, we're not super concerned about the water coming off Cross Creek, but the biggest risk to us is if something happens within that watershed, such as fire or contamination, then we're going to be in a situation. I think us taking steps forward on the water treatment plant is key to dealing with that, because the sand treatment struggles today with just turbidity issues of the water, fire aside. So one of the things I do want to do is I want to have a conversation with council in the coming weeks about some education of what our water rights are, how this system operates, and options for the future that I think we need to start thinking about.
I just want to add to what you're saying is that we've always been at complete risk if there was anything that threatened the Cross Creek watershed. That's no different this year than any year, except that there's more fire danger this year. And as to worries about turbidity, our treatment plant is not going to take care of that. We don't have a type of, we went through went through, and Gussie can clarify. But by choosing to do, not to have the water treatment modular part of the plant, we do not have a way to really treat turbidity. So whether or not we have our treatment plant, we still are going to have to depend on our wells in the event that there's too much turbidity in the water.
I mean, that's not entirely true. And we've added settlement tanks to the design that will help with some of that issue. But the membrane is definitely a step up for dealing with these type of issues than the sand, for sure.
It'll get rid of some of the turbidity. You'll still have a little bit of it. That I think we might be talking about is the pre-treatment for heavy metals.
Yeah.
And we chose not to go
Right, that we do not.
Yes.
I think we're getting off topic. To circle back to what Kate said, these are all efforts in the future. Let's talk about now. And I would submit that our code is too liberal for this summer in light of the current situation. And I'm a bit mystified why we're not just looking at replicating what ERWSD is putting out for their schedule.
I agree with that, Tom. I think we should at least follow their guidelines that they're at now.
So I got this one covered, guys. What we can do is I can come back with a resolution on May 6th, and tomorrow morning, Rob can say, this is what we're doing. And we can immediately go to the twice a week watering if we want to do that. I do want to cover these for a couple of reasons that I want to make sure that I say them out loud because that's part of how we're going to communicate to people is we're going to talk to them. But I also want other ideas. And I think the idea of tomorrow and just saying we're going to go to twice a week watering, and I wrote it down. Currently, even and odd, even days in Minturn are Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. Odd are Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Monday is a no water day. At Eagle River, Sunday, Monday, and Thursday are no water days. So everybody gets 2 days. So we'll follow that. And in this memo, you see, actually Cindy added it, those are the days that we will do. And that's very easy to do. But one of the things that scares me the most, more than how many days we're watering, is that the water comes on in the middle of the night and nobody sees it. And all of a sudden, somebody wakes up and their sidewalk is wet. Nobody notices it. Our sidewalk is wet. The town is going to need to husband itself as well.
Do we know how many people's got sprinkled yards? Got sprinklers?
I think that's not hard to tell as far as if you're asking for a number. I don't know.
I was just wondering if that's a good start too, is to try to communicate with them that they really need to be cautious on when their water's running and what it's hitting. And
so a couple of things to do is don't turn it on. The second one is remove non-functional turf. If you've got a side yard that doesn't need to be used, don't water it. Inspection of your sprinkler system. You'd be amazed how many times you take the dog out for a walk at 2 a.m. when the water comes on and it's bless you and this thing shooting straight up in the air because the head's broken. You don't see that at 10 o'clock in the morning. You see it at 2 o'clock in the morning. Last summer, I was looking over here and I said, why are we getting water here? There's nothing turned on. It turned out we had a leak and we got it fixed. If you see wet or puddling or little stream going by and down the gutter, why is that?
Jay, can I jump in for a second?
Yep.
I just wanted to point out one other thing that ERWSD is asking, and we can certainly pull their messaging and mirror that when you work on the resolution, but they are asking customers to not water until at least June, if at all. So they're asking people to definitely not turn any watering on yet.
Let's do the same.
I think we should just
match
that's what they're doing.
I think that's a reasonable request too.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
to the point, Jay, while they're talking much later in the evening or super early in the morning, our code is 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Don't do it. We can certainly put out there our own list of hours that would prevent unobserved watering, blown heads, etc. That we would prefer people do 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. or 5 a.m. to 10 a.m.
So
At least we're up and running, just as an example.
the overnight watering, Tom, they recommend that though, because that's obviously when it's the least impactful. As far as if you water it all during the day, a lot of that just gets absorbed.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
but again, I'm just pointing out
Yeah.
if there is concern that it's unobserved watering and malfunctions occur during that time and it completely defeats the purpose because the head's blown, and then the thing runs all night, then the only solution to that is a happy medium. But those are just
We do have the ability to know now how much everybody uses. So if anybody's use seems unusual or is excessive or going up, the town needs to stay on that.
I'll be watching, I want to clarify something. I will be watching that monthly. The problem that I think what you're alluding to is, can we do it daily? No. I did try to get that system. I worked for 1.5 years and the guy never called me back. His name, I don't remember his name, but it was from Core, Maine, and they're the only ones up here that do it.
Monitor the monthly.
So, but
But
I
we
know,
know who uses.
I know,
And I think like one of the other things that ERWSD did is they went like for their tier 4 and tier 5 users, like are already incurring a penalty.
Right.
Like I mean, that's something to consider because that's the most water, like the highest water users, and it's a very small percent of the water users that use like a third of the water.
And I don't think we have that many in Minturn like what Eagle River has,
Sure,
their
but
users. So that's kind of a benefit for us anyway.
we don't, you're correct, and the ones that are actually irrigation.
right,
So-
that's saying
right.
we're trying to drive behavior that says don't irrigate this year.
Right.
Like this is an effective tool to do that because it's
And that's why I keep harping on the irrigation system is make sure, and it's gonna take somebody knowing how to run their system. They have to be able to, I mean, we do have people in town, I can give names or phone numbers, whatever a citizen would want, of somebody that can test their system. You can test it right now to see if it's got leaks. You can test it, to make sure that it's hitting not the sidewalk.
But far our biggest water user, by some enormous amount from what the numbers I've seen. Although they also use Eagle River water, is the cemetery.
The townhomes, the enclave, the Trout and Racket Club and the cemetery are the top 4.
Um,
I will definitely
pretty much
have
in
a
that order.
conversation with the townhomes. That's going to change.
And I think the enclave they're concerned about irrigating, and I think we're going to have some more conversations with them about now is not the time.
I actually got a call from them last year going, why is my bill so high? I said, because you're using water.
Well,
And-
but the enclave, it would be high because they have so many residents there.
The residents don't water outside. We have they're monitored, they're metered individually. Each unit is individually used. They might have, one guy would go out and water his flowers a lot and stuff like that. However, their irrigation system is on its own separate meter. And so is, all of them.
It's all HOA driven
So
on
maybe
townhomes.
it's
It's not
worth
individuals.
reaching out to those entities.
And I will be doing that.
That seems like that might make the biggest difference, and we're really serious about it.
Right, and that's
and
what,
that's why I think like we just match what ERWSD is
They're
doing.
Tier 4 and 5.
I think so too. I think that's the easiest way.
Whatever their penalties are, like what we we can figure out what makes sense for Minturn, but like we just do what they're doing. They're the professionals at this and they're our next door neighbors.
okay, so
I must have one of the largest lawns, which I've been trying to shrink every year. But it takes more water, it seems, to shrink it, because you're planting new things instead, temporarily. But I can't imagine that they,
Yeah, I don't think we matched their tier structure. I just think
Yeah,
that what
that's
what they're
their-
doing to the tiers.
Right, like
yeah.
this watering program and stuff, yeah. And I don't think we'd be into
No, we
their
were-
sport like with all the amount.
they use so much water is what I'm saying. 'Cause
Yeah.
it doesn't take that much water
Which one?
to keep
Oh, just
a yard green.
Those 4 or 5?
Yes,
Oh,
that's what I'm
the
saying.
reason that they do,
My yard is normally pretty green.
trust me, I watch your house. No, I'm kidding. The reason, you know, I'm gonna be very blunt about this. The reason they're using so much water, I feel, and I'm the accountant, I'm not the greenie, the green guy. I am thinking it's because their system is not set properly. And it's,
That's what
I mean, if you walk,
think.
if you walk out in the morning to go to work and your car's wet, that means your sprinkler system is not set right.
And there's no incentive to go check on it because they're not being charged enough. And then
Right.
you start to hit the wall.
Right.
Start going fixing it.
Never, I've turned my sprinklers on until mid-June, and that's never been an issue in terms of the yard being green. In all years.
We will develop a letter, and this is one of the reasons I want to start now. Is, you know, I want to start now and go to October 31st. The reason I don't want to start in June is because it's going to take me some time to get these letters together and get some, you know, get it sent to people and you know, oh, he's still here, Kevin, to make sure that if he goes around and sees, you know, the sidewalk is wet at the town hall, he knows to get a hold of somebody to get we need to get our system set. You know, we've been talking here at the town, what we're gonna do. We're not gonna put as many flowers out. We're not gonna, you know, let's not turn the irrigation system on. And when we do, let's really watch it the first day to see if the sidewalks are wet or there's a stream going down the gutter, or, you know, I mean,
So we might be able to save a lot of water simply by convincing these large users to have a better tuned, more aware, more sophisticated sprinkler system.
and I want to point something out also. Excuse me, Tom. I want to point something out really, an obvious one is I'm going to tell people not to turn their sprinkler on until June. I'm not going to say, don't turn it on until your June bill, because that means they turned it on in May. And I promise you, most of the sprinklers are coming on May 15th and beyond.
Hopefully we have a wet spring and summer and everything don't dry up and.
Well, I kept hoping we'd have a good January.
I was too, we never did.
And I was hoping February was going to be just,
Yep,
But the super El Nino.
yeah.
that's what they keep saying.
But that's fall and winter. It's not, I mean, that's gonna be late fall or mid-fall and then probably a dry January and then a wet spring.
Tom, did you have something?
I was just gonna say, we don't need, as Kate has already brought up, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. There needs to be a significant stick and carrot inserted into this policy for this season specifically. I got what Jay is saying, all valid messaging, but the fact of the matter is your guy from Maine and elsewhere are not gonna give a damn. Second home, they got the money, so it needs to hurt if they're not adhering to the policy we put out. It's that simple. If that replicates exactly what Eagle River's got, great. But that's what we need to do. We need to do it pretty quick.
Yeah, I agree.
Quit just a second. Let me finish this because I want to get through these and then let's do the public side. I apologize. I got 4, 3. I got 3.
To lecture them about water.
No, I know, but I do. I want to
Just
also
read them,
point out
don't
that
elaborate.
the average house does about 2,000 to 4,000 gallons. So if you get your water bill and it's 15,000, you're doing something wrong. Based on current drought trend, the town may be forced to suspend all outdoor watering, and that's a pretty easy one to put in. And the other one is, in an effort to collaborate with the regional, we're going to go with what Eagle River wants and what they put forward. And we'll do 2 days a week. We'll do, excuse you, it'll be the higher tiers. We'll be looking at those. And Lynn, I do understand what you said about the cemetery coming out of Eagle River. However, if they're the only ones with green grass, you know, everybody's gotta buck up a little bit.
Honestly, they need to cut back too, because it's still coming out of the Eagle River.
Still our water rights, and we only have a certain amount
Yeah.
up there.
And I did see that they're having golf courses in the Denver area. They've all cut way back too, you know, they're trying to do their part. So really the cemetery needs to
And-
step it up
right.
also.
And to Lynn's point, they water with non-potable water. There are 2 lines that go up there, and they're seasonal water lines because they're not very deep. If you go up and you fill your water bottle at the bike park, that's actually potable water. It's okay. You're not doing what I used to do as a kid and drink water out of the gutter when you got thirsty. 70s were different. There's a second line that goes, so there's water that's pulled out by what I used to call the wedding deck. It's, if you look at the stage of the Little Beach Park, it's that balcony deck off to the left, down by the river. That's actually the diversion point. It's non-potable water, meaning it's not treated. And that goes and waters the cemetery. And I believe it does I'm sorry?
Is it metered or is it just?
It's metered. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Everything, we try to meter every drop. We really do. And it's metered in various ways. One of them is it's metered at the gatehouse where it's pumped out of the river, diverted, and then it's metered at each of the pockets it hits. The second one is there is a potable water line that actually goes underneath the bridge, kind of from that fire hydrant that's right there. If you drive across the bridge, you'll notice this big cage over to the side that looks like a water thing that we can sell people water, which we won't be doing this summer. But we will be, that's a metered thing, and you go fill a truck up with water, potable water.
So even users that are pulling straight from the river non-potable are.
Right.
Would they fall into the tiers? Does that count?
Yep.
Or is there consumptive use?
It does, it will.
Okay.
And it does. And then the second one though, is there's the potable line that goes all the way up also that some draw off of. And it's metered. It's metered.
How about the Public Works building? Does it have potable water there? Or?
It does. The Public Works is on a special plan. What we have, and it was brought up years ago when we gave them the 10 acres or whatever it was up at that they've got the mausoleum on. And what they did is they're the only ones in town that have a well. They have a well up there, and it gives potable water to their office area. It gives potable water to our Public Works building, and then we have non-potable water that goes to the Public Works, but not through those lines. And we also have non-potable that goes to the cemetery. So, and then we have a septic up there that is a septic tank that's where Public Works and the cemetery, if you use their toilets, that's where it goes. And we pump that out. We share the cost with the cemetery to pump it out. It's about $8,000 a year for us. Another cool little secret, and I will put it on the website if anybody's interested, is we have a gauge station that tells how much water is in Cross Creek, and it's slightly up from the confluence with Eagle, but it'll show you how much water's in the river. It's fascinating. It really is. It's a rabbit hole you can go down for hours on. But it'll show you how much water is being taken, how much water is going through the river, how much is trends, whether it be the last week, the last month, or the last 10 years. But I'll get that to anybody that wants it, and we'll try to put it on the website as well. Again, I would highly recommend everybody look at that code section, chapter 13. And we will tomorrow, Rob will go ahead and we'll get the kind of an emergency going where we just say we're going to this level. And we will also include in that nobody gets to turn their irrigation on until June 1st. So it actually hits the July bill, not the June bill. And we'll see what we can't do.
Thank you, Jay.
Does anybody have any other ideas?
Like if the RWSD goes to level
Yep.
4 or whatever, like we ought to go to level 4.
Right. And we did that a good example is we did that with the fire thing. If they go to level 1, we automatically go.
Yeah.
We don't have to bring it to the council or anything.
Yeah.
If they go to level 3, we automatically go to level 3.
Just say that in
Right.
resolution.
Everybody got the warm fuzzy?
Win had a couple.
Lynn? Thank you.
Lynn Teach, 253 Pine Street. You've done a lot of discussion here, but most of it's related to those people who have sprinkler systems. We need to say a few things about those who hand water. Most of your old homes do not have sprinkler systems. Number one, try not to use oscillator heads. This was my business when I started. And Ben Kruger, who did the Vail Golf Course, had courses we got to take, which was great. Because of the fact that the water goes up high and goes out and covers a lot, but there's evaporation there. Try to keep your sprinkler heads giving off the water lower to the ground so it goes right to the ground. It doesn't get lost in the air. Ben taught us that the higher you keep your grass, the deeper the roots go, so you don't have to water it as often. So don't mow as often. Last summer, I only mowed my lawn once a month. It didn't grow that much because of the heat we had and things like that. And I only watered like I do one side of my house, or like the south side and the back on Tuesdays and the front and the other on Saturdays. I only watered like twice a week. You can do that way too. You know, maybe not do it all in one. And just that little bit of grass will keep those roots healthy. You're right. It will come back. If it goes on for a couple of years, it's not going to, but for 1 year, it will. Water timers for hoses. People who want them to water in the evening. Of course, they come home, set the hose, go make dinner, and forget the hose is on. Let's try to get people putting more water timers on their hoses. They can set them for 10 minutes and it'll go off, or they can do a section for 5 minutes and then go switch it on again. But the fact that you tend to forget your hoses on. Hand watering. I like to hand water just the little garden areas and let the grass go sometimes because I find it relaxing. I find it enjoyable. The other thing that Daryl Weigert brought up at one of our planning and zoning meetings recently, and we need Rob or Jay, if you could talk to him. Supposedly we're allowed to use rain barrels again. For many years, you weren't. But if you had a rain barrel in your yard, and he said they're going to carry them at Ace for, I think, up to 35 gallons. Not that we're going to have the rain to fill it, but if we did, that's water that doesn't come off of our creek, doesn't come out of Eagle River. And it might be just enough water to keep your vegetable garden alive, something like that. So if we could find that out and maybe get an idea from him. I went into Ace the other day to look at it and they didn't have it there yet. But, you know, we have to not just think about the big users and the irrigation people, but the people who are going to do it by hand and still want the same issue. You're right. There's certain plants you don't have to watch. I mean, look at all the bulbs we've had. We haven't had any rain. Bulbs don't take a lot of water, you know, and they're all coming up and blooming. It's still pretty. But as soon as that heat hits, you're going to have issues. The older the garden, the better chance it has to survive because your roots are deeper, things like that. But I just wanted to mention those few things for people who don't have irrigation systems.
I have a question for you, Lynn. Did you put bulbs out there?
No,
recently?
I saw those bulb tulips the other day.
Lynn came in a couple of years ago and gave us a whole bunch of tulips. And I thought, well, these are really cool. And then one evening I went out and just stuck them in the ground on my way out. And they keep coming up every year and I love them.
Oh, they come back and they multiply.
But that's what's
you actually
happening.
have to divide them after many years. If you notice in my yard, my crocus already bloomed. My blue hyacinths, which are a short one, are blooming now. My daffodils are starting to bloom. My tulips just have bulbs. I will have flowers in that yard for 3 to 4 weeks, and I don't water.
Yeah, and we don't water these
No.
over here.
Tulips or bulb plants for this area are great.
Yeah.
You know, the drought's going to harm your lilacs. They're going to harm your peonies. They're going to harm your rose bushes because the lack of water is going to hold back those buds. But bulbs are great, and they keep multiplying. This patch, I noticed it the other day, little Paisley.
Huge.
Little Paisley was out there.
Yeah.
And she loves her flowers.
I love those. But that's how we got those on the corner. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Oh, and the ones you buy at the grocery store, don't throw them in the trash when they're done. Put them in the ground, even if it's off season.
Yeah.
Eventually they'll come around to doing it.
That's good advice.
A quick Google says that 4 units or fewer can collect 110 gallons of rain.
Right.
To 2 barrels in Colorado by law.
And some places are restricted from doing it. I actually don't know anybody around here, but I know Blue River is that way. You cannot do rain barrels
Why would that be?
because they don't have the water rights for it. It has to go into the river.
But Daryl said this just changed recently, like
Right.
this year.
But I know that several homeowners were actually sued. And then they tried to sue the homeowner association in Blue River because of it. And they couldn't do it because Breckenridge owns the water, that Goose Pasture Tarn out there.
From using it already.
So I was doing water rights when my dad was, I was 10 years old, and they're like, what's a mill levy? How do you know this stuff? I'm like, oh, my dad,
Yeah. Always good to know.
So my only other thought is, I know the Vale Daily had an article that the river hasn't peaked yet. It does seem like there's no snow for it to do another
peak from.
Yeah, so I don't know where that information is coming from, but I'm also not a hydrologist. But we already see where we're going. Why don't we start with 1 or 0 days of irrigation? Just head it off the pass. Is that too extreme too early, or?
No.
Because I don't think we're gonna get better.
I think if we said, don't turn your sprinkler on until June 1st and don't water more than 2 days, these 2 days a week, that's going to help.
Okay.
I mean, everything we can,
Say if it doesn't look like we get any moisture, we can always change it to.
Yeah, that's what
I think we should just follow the
what
district.
Eagle
Yeah.
River's doing, because I think they have a lot of good pulse on it than we do, right? And if they increase, right, they've assessed that this is what the hydrology can handle, and if it changes, then they're gonna change their position. We should too, but
I'm just thinking, do it earlier. But
yeah, I mean, I don't entirely disagree. That just means we pass the water on to somebody else who's watering their yard.
that's true.
Like beneficial use is a funky thing.
I'm with you, Kate. I think we just follow the district.
Yep.
See what.
It's easy to do.
Yeah.
What I want to do also though is point out what we currently have in our code too. So
Next year, we can change back to the 3 days if we have the super El Nino next winter, and we need to use water because we're all gonna flood out.
The thing is, living here, it's so variable.
Right.
You just never know what the next month is going to bring, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we just follow Eagle River. Can we move on to is there anything we need to know about the legislative update?
Yes.
Nothing of great consequence. Obviously, the state is facing a significant budget shortfall. And so we're starting to see, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more, and that's a $1.5 billion shortfall. The state is shifting money from everything and anything they can, probably mostly to protect Medicaid healthcare and K-12 education. But we're going to see some hits on programs that, support housing and other matters. So some of the things we're seeing are showing that, but the cuts are going to come from somewhere. So unless there's anything from council, I don't have anything to raise.
Thanks for keeping us in the loop on all this. It's good to know. I try to follow it on Colorado Municipal League a little bit too, but
the next few weeks will be interesting. That's when, the really peculiar things appear before the end of the session. So we'll keep watching.
It does seem that Minturn, almost all the density provisions don't apply to towns with under 1,000 population. And we're right.
I think it's good to note that, and I try to have conversations with people about the state's efforts, and they'll continue to get more aggressive. It seems that the bill to require that the minimum lot size go down to 2,000 square feet is now in the Senate, and I'm sure the governor will sign it if it makes it out of the Senate. That bill does not apply to us at this time, but I put it on there to illustrate what is going on that people need to be aware of.
And, with just a little bit of development, we're going to be above the 1,000.
Yeah, the point may come where some of these directives are going to start to affect us, and I think that's something we got to think about.
Move on to future agenda items.
So we're going to come back on May 6th and we're going to talk about programmatic efforts to address water costs for cost burden households and provide you some options there. We have BBC Research who's been doing an impact fee study. They want to come talk to you. We have the students who have been working on the RTAP presentation. They want to come talk to you. We have to appoint a new council member. Hopefully we get some applicants. We need to reappoint municipal judges. We're going to come to you and ask for approval to seek some grant money for both CPW Human Bear Conflict Reduction Grant and Colorado Circular Communities. Both those grants are for trash related matters.
I am concerned. It sounds like two of us aren't going to be present at that meeting.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll try to call. I might be virtual.
Would it be helpful if I reach out to you the week before and just tell you kind of where things are at? And
I can try. I'm going to be out of the country.
okay.
Just gonna be in DC. I should be.
On the appointments front, do we have a concern there, or maybe we have to follow up with that before?
I just want to assure you guys, you'll have fun.
Everything's going to Kate and Lynn, obviously.
Yeah.
Whoever would appoint on the council, get all the committees.
Definitely be virtual.
Okay, you're out also?
I'm gonna just be in DC, but I should be able to follow.
Tom, are you going to be here?
But,
I know.
that's going to leave us with 4, so nobody else can be sick, absent, mysteriously gone. Because we won't have a quorum even to have the meeting.
Or if somebody is going to, just let us know so then we can just cancel it ahead of time.
I'm wondering if the new council member should be appointed when there's more people present. More council.
We can do that. However, it also backs up committee appointments. It backs up a few other,
I understand that, but that's a pretty important appointment.
if that's the council's desire. I just want to get both sides.
I would. Well, I know I'm going to be in transit, so I'm not going to be available.
Well, this is all under the assumption we have more than one applicant, so let's see how this plays out.
That's true, that's true. But if we only have one applicant, we should extend the time period anyway. So I think I would be in favor of expanding the time period and allowing more applicants. 2 weeks is not much time.
Generally fine with that.
You only have 20 days. This gives you 14 days, but you only have 20 days to get your petition in anyway. And we didn't have enough to hold the election, so it's not like I'm not seeing an avalanche of people.
So I would, in that case, I would be very in favor of extending the time.
Yeah, but seek applications immediately.
We want good candidates.
We also are going to follow up with you about the water restrictions that we will implement as soon as possible. We'll talk about that on the 6th. And looking at this now, I know we're going to add, it's either the 6th or the 20th. We're going to talk about, we've been tracking and gathering speed data for quite some time. And our intern, Jessica Copeland, has been working on compiling that with Kevin Rindy, who goes out and puts our sensor out there. So maybe we'll talk to you about that at the 6th or the 20th and just tell you, this is what we know about speeding in town. And we have a presentation from Blair with Excel on June 3rd. And I've made it very clear to Blair, if everything goes well from what we need from her company before June 3rd, then we will be nice to her on the 3rd. And if not, then she will hear it from us on the 3rd.
That's had the audit on 520. The acceptance of it.
Okay. I don't have any. This part
sounds good.
I have what is her presentation on June 3rd?
As you know, the rates are going up and they've been going up, and she's going to talk a little bit about why that is and what's coming down the pipe and Excel's I mean, there's a lot of different fronts. One, the renewable energy greenhouse gas reduction measures that the state has asked them to do. And she wants to talk about some of those things and hear from you about our concerns locally about those rate structure changes, but also the issues we have with Excel with,
Could we ask her to address service delays,
yes,
like moving gas lines?
yes, we can do that.
Filling potholes.
We'll reach out about that.
I'll say something to them about they could save money by quit running their ads on TV all the time too.
That's a concept.
Every night they have an ad on there.
I don't know, I get a survey from them about every 16 days.
We have a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second from Spence, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion adjourned.